Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today, on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals and financial successful people who have the experience and tips that we want to trade with you. And today we have John Black on my podcast, or my notes. It said Jack Black Sr., but it's John Black Sr. He is what we call in our industry the wolf from Pulp Fiction, coming in to fix problems. So, John, thanks for coming. We really do appreciate it. Could you do me a quick favor and tell us, what you do and how you got to where you're at?
Sure. Been 43 years in the property liability insurance industry, and started out honestly heading to law school, and we got in the family way and instead decided to get married, and I needed to take a job pretty quickly out of college, and wound up in insurance, as many people do. My father was an insurance, what they used to call a field man. And then moved over to an insurance agency, and when he retired, I worked for his business partner all through college, because I liked having a couple of bucks in my pocket, and then stayed with the agency for 10 years after I got married. So
Nice.
I enjoyed the underwriting side of the business, and we were outside Philadelphia, born and raised in Philly, and enjoyed the underwriting side of the business and the technical side of the business, the contracts, and just the math of the business. So I went to work in a turnaround situation at USF&G in Baltimore, and then I liked startups and turnarounds, and found myself in many different situations. The difficult part is many times these startups and turnarounds either don't turn around and go bankrupt or usually get sold off. And the startups, sometimes fail, and sometimes, they also sell and go into larger organizations. And I found that when you have an opinion and you work very hard, the layers of a larger organization for a guy like me are not enjoyable. I like to get things done, and many times to get things done, you don't need a 30-person committee and 500 meetings. You need 4 smart people, and 2 of them have to be super tough, and then we just go right through the problem and get right to the solutions.
That's why you're called the wolf. Get through the problems and solve them.
I'm usually called much worse than that, actually, but I think this is a family show, so we'll just let that go.
Well, I've noticed that people that do great things are called bad things.
I like
Tesla
that.
and
I'm
the
gonna use that.
Yeah. It's 100% true. Elon Musk is, I think, is one of the greatest people on earth, and just half the population hates him. The same thing with everything. George Washington, any great, Abraham Lincoln. When you get martyred, it's different, but there's everybody that's done great things has had a lot of opposition, a lot.
Inertia is an incredibly powerful force, to your point. I mean, it's just, I'd rather compete with anybody on the planet than inertia or trying something new. When there isn't a model that people can follow, when it's something that's truly innovative, which you rarely see in the property and liability insurance industry, you are moving mountains, big mountains, to actually accomplish that. So, I always give a tip of the hat and a bend of the knee to anybody that tries something new. The days of Hank Greenberg and AIG are over, and true innovation just doesn't happen as often. It used to be driven by insurance companies. Now you have to go to the large brokerages, RT, Amwins, CRC, to get anybody that has some creativity and can get things done.
Gotcha. So there's a lot of competition in every industry, correct? And in your industry, in your business and professional space, what sets you apart? What comes easy to you that the others find very challenging?
Well, first of all, let me say that I have a coffee mug here. Yeah, regular coffee mug, probably 8, 12 ounces. And if that was everything I knew in the world and all, held everything I knew and all my intelligence, and you set it next to the Atlantic Ocean, that would be everything I don't know. Then
Yes.
you'd as you start to realize, you get a little bit older, you get a longer in the tooth, and you start to realize what you don't know. I think your ego starts to get reined in. So, anything that I do or any blessing I have is a blessing, and God or the universe or karma or whatever you want to call it, the force, has allowed that. So I very much believe in that, and that people need to rein in their egos a little bit more and understand that the world is a big place, and you're lucky to do what it is that you do. So
I think I would have to say humility is probably one of the greatest things that you have that sets you apart.
Well, it's the Greek tragedies. If you've ever read, and I'm an educated person. I don't know how I got educated, but 16 years of Catholic school, and you learn in the Greek tragedies that it's always two things. It's hubris or greed. Every Greek tragedy, and so I try to avoid those two things. I'm a simple man, and it's a very simple thing to do. Just soon as you think as soon as you think you're special, start to realize you're not special. I play pickleball a lot, and whenever I think like I'm getting good at pickleball, I go and play with like the young guys that are higher rated, and you get schooled, and you learn more because you're playing people who are better than you. But there's always going to be, in my belief, there's always going to be somebody a little better than me. But I think if anything sets me apart, it's recognizing that and trying to form great teams and get everybody contributing and supporting them. I used to say when I had large teams, I clear roadblocks, and I used to say to people, why are you upset? Oh, somebody did this. This is why are you upset? And they would say, what do you mean? And I said, your job isn't to get upset. My job is to get upset. Your job is to have fun and be creative and, enjoy your job. As soon as you're starting to get upset, as soon as the blood's starting to rise, or that's when you should say, hold on, and you go and you get me. And then I handle that because I'm from Philadelphia, and that's what we do.
Right. The wolf. I'll fix that.
Well, I like the Reservoir Dogs reference. Everybody wants to be Mr. Black.
I'll take that. That's a good one. That's a real good one. I like that. If someone listening to the podcast wants to get better at what you do, what tips would you give them?
Well, let's say get better at what anybody does, because I think these are universal things. I don't think I have anything that and they're just simple things, but they're things that lock and load on these things. Learn your craft. I don't give a crap what it is. Don't learn the tricks of the trade. Learn the damn trade, and then you can learn the tricks of the trade. But it's a simple thing. But I always look for people that are making an effort, and I'm into technology, I'm into insurance, I help lawyers, and a charitable organization, several charitable organizations actually. And I always look for people that are understanding their business and their role in the business, and they're trying to learn more, and they make an effort. So effort, to quote the coach, or I should say the captain, now coach of the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs, the hockey team, we get dirty. We're ugly. We get dirty. Get out there. Get it done. These are simple phrases, but they're incredibly meaningful, particularly to young people. Learn your trade, play hard, play fair, and don't hurt anybody unless you have to. And these are very, very simple things. My children once asked me, how will you judge us? And I said, oh, I don't judge. I was lying. So one day as they got a bit older, they cornered me in the holidays and said, no, we really want to know. How do you judge us? I said, all right, I'm going to judge you the same way I hope and pray that I'm judged. Did you help as many people as you can? And did you hurt as few people as you have to? because you are going to have to hurt people in your life. And it doesn't have to be physically, but we are from Philadelphia. It can just be, somebody loves you and you don't love them, or at times in life you're going to have to hurt people, and you try and do that gently and as gracefully as you can. So simple things.
I've noticed a lot of times I'm like a bull in a china shop, and I like to tell truth. And I found I offend and hurt more people by telling the truth than I do with anything else. But
I never mind hurting people with the truth, because it's the truth.
Try and do that in a public. Try and make a podcast, or try and be in the public eye and tell truth. You'll be surprised. Like, here's your religious beliefs. I told God, I said I would love to tell the truth constantly. I'd love to go on stages all through the big churches and tell my story. And he laughed I heard a little laugh in the back of my head saying, "Yeah, you better watch that telling truth stuff." I'm like, telling truth's awesome. It's great. He goes, "My son did that for 3 years. What did they do to him?" I go, "Yeah, good point." Very good point. They nailed him to a cross for telling truth.
But I do think, if it gives you any solace, I do think history will be kind to the people that tell the truth. If you've got a righteous cause and you tell the truth and you work hard at it, I think history will be kind to you. So
that's a good point. The society today won't, but you said that's a good point. History will be kind to you. That's a very good point. I like that. Thank you. So what is one of the biggest challenges, that your job was to handle challenge? What is one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome in your career? This is a great question for you.
Yeah, I would say the looking at how awful some people can be and not killing them. Are
you Italian by any way?
No, but I love the Italians. They're fantastic. I'm Irish. The Italians, the Irish, we love to get together.
Yeah, same difference.
When I see someone that knows they're hurting someone and they don't care, and they may even be profiting greatly from it. I'm in Naples, Florida, and there's a lot of wealth in Naples, Florida, and I listen to people at times. Like I said, I play a lot of pickleball, and listen to some of these people talk about what they've done in their lives, and I sit there, and once in a while I'll throw out a question about, well, do you realize, like, you got rich, you got a beautiful boat and a lovely mansion, but probably about 10,000 people lost their homes because of what you did, whether it be the bank or an insurance company or whatever, and they just laugh. And it's that evil kind of laugh where they know that they took advantage of people and they just don't care. And so I think just when you do some of the things I've done and you see what people are capable of, a lot of times, I would come home and you want to literally scrape it off. I want to scrape that off me. And, I'm blessed to have a wonderful dog. I've always had great dogs. And go for a run with the dog or pet the dog, or we'll go have a beer somewhere where they allow dogs, or at times
there's a lot of that in Florida. There's a lot of that.
There is quite a bit. It's great.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah, and it's all about the owner. It's not about the dogs. But and I've also been blessed in my life at times to have some exceptional, lovely women that have a brightness of soul that was incredible. And I stupidly have let them get away, but I hope to find another one before I die. And and you spend time with the bright. You get out of that darkness and you get over into the light. And while you're there, you all five senses. I'm a 5 sense kind of guy. You touch. I don't care. Just you put a hand on somebody's shoulder and you feel that goodness, and you smell the perfume. And you taste the wine that you're having together, and you listen to what they're saying. That's how I survive.
Good, great, awesome. Hey, sounds like things are going pretty well for you. You're knocking out of the park at what you're doing.
Not at all. I'm rebuilding. Actually, we started a company twice in my life. I've risked everything and started companies, and neither time has it paid off handsomely. So I'm literally as of 2019, starting over. So I started over kind of in 2019. I've been rebuilding, if you will. We've just built this technology platform. So I'm an emerging risk.
You're an emerging risk.
Emerging risk, as some people would like to say. But I've always tried to do well by people, to not take advantage of people. So I'm blessed with a lot of great folks in the industry that are supportive. Unfortunately, we're getting older, and many of them are retiring. But I've got a good, 3 to 5 years of effort before I could even think about retiring. So,
Gotcha.
So I'm kind of starting over, and that's why I'm going in a few directions. I'm still helping attorneys on both sides of the aisle. I don't, I'll help the defense, I'll help the offense. Most of my career has been defense, but I see what some of the defense is doing today, and so I've been helping the plaintiffs' attorneys quite a bit.
Okay, cool.
And then doing this insurance exchange, and then the charity is a huge thing. I really am very, very excited about that. I think we can say the sole purpose of the charity is to save lives.
What is the charity? Can you give a brief little shout out to them?
Yeah, it's called the Risk Management Education Foundation, and we're partnering with the University of Cincinnati, the University of Pittsburgh, and the University of Montreal so far. We'd like to get a couple more universities in the U.S. and 5 or 6 more internationally, and we're talking to probably 8 at this point in time. But the sole purpose of it is to take on significant issues for the global insurance community and cut through the noise. We don't want any commercials. We don't want any studies that are not peer reviewed and full of crap and have an agenda. And, we want to have real discussions about real data and very important topics, not just to the insurance industry, but to society and economies as a whole, and help each other around the globe, because there's globalization, of course, is one of our topics, and help regulators. So help anybody that wants to see a vibrant, international, growing, predictable, sustainable growing earnings pattern in the insurance industry and anything tangential. So that includes risk management. So people that are trying to mitigate risk. 2 of our big partners, we love aerosol fire suppression. If you're in a country or an area that has water supply issues, aerosols are the next big thing. And, people need to understand that. We have to, in the United States, we have to get away from a water only or foam only mindset. It's ridiculous. These aerosols they're breathable. They're environmentally friendly. They've got a 50-year shelf life on these things. You put them in your ceiling and it looks like an LPG gas tank. And when the fire comes, they release, and you can clean it up with a vacuum cleaner and live in your house or your business, right away. And they're inexpensive. And in 50 years, you don't have to be testing these things like a sprinkler system, and you don't have sprinkler leakage issues. It's where the world is going. Other countries are getting on board, and the U.S. has got to get its head out of the sand. And we're working with companies that are using AI, and we're working with companies that are doing security. And they're doing drone-based, both aerial and dog drones, as well as and then applying AI to that. So we've got a partner, drone strategic solutions, and we're Honeywell, and we're out there and we're preaching these things. And if we can take fire, sprinkler leakage, and theft, vandalism off the table as perils, and we could within the next 2 years, that is an incredible change to the lost costs of insurance. I mean, insurance policies premiums should drop 30 to 40%. I kid you not.
Really?
And not just property. When that fire or explosion happens and there's a contractor on premises who gets injured, they're going to sue. And so it's property, it's liability, it's workers compensation. We care about workers. It's directors and officers liability. The directors and officers have an obligation in these situations. They have an obligation to pick the right security. They have an obligation to make sure if there's an explosion, they've got systems to prevent this or mitigate the loss. So we're very much not just in insurance, and tangential, but also risk management. So I'm incredibly excited and passionate about that, as you can tell.
Nice. Awesome. That's great. As we're wrapping up the interview, what are your plans for the next 6 to 12 months? What is the game plan? What do you mentioned your system. I'm assuming it's going to be launched.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll launch at the end of this month. We're just finalizing and testing, but the goal is to find most likely 3 or 4 countries that where we can get 6 to 10 insurance companies to band together in an reinsurance exchange, and
Okay.
we'll provide the software platform for everything an insurance company needs. And we'll also provide products and reinsurance. So we take the place of what in the United States would be ISO, MSO, AAIS. And we also provide statistical agency, attorney in fact, so we can handle all the legal and compliance issues, and then a system platform and reinsurance. So we'll put that together, hopefully 2 to 4 countries, and then we'll do quarterly events. Our first event is June 12th at the University Club at the University of Cincinnati, and the topic is AI. So it's risk management and then the use of AI in insurance. So it's underwriting, it's claims, it's ethical. Throughout everyone's presentation, every discussion, panel discussions, will be the discussion of the ethical use of artificial intelligence. And then on September 10th, we will be at the University of Pittsburgh talking about business resilience, and that will bring in a lot of these topics, including AI and climate change, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're working with the University of Montreal to schedule the next event there. And then, of course, we'd like to have another university, and we'll be looking for sponsors in the coming 2 months. And the goal here is to give something back to the universities, create scholarships for people that are serious and studying risk management, and folks that are going to change the world for the better.
Beautiful. Awesome. That's fantastic, man. I love you're putting AI into it. The last 2 I thought you put together is AI and insurance, but you're doing it. And that's
if
amazing.
I can, just a quick shout out to RT Specialty in Chicago, Lindemann Miller Bowen in Chicago, Sunlight Solutions, and St. Baldrick's, the children's cancer charity. That's why my hair is a little short. I got my head shaved for children's cancer. But they're 4 of their sponsors and partners right now, besides the universities. And, we hope to get a lot of insurance companies and reinsurers and see that list grow.
Well, if you can help them drop 40%, I'm sure they're going to love you.
It would be good, especially in Florida. Florida, the rates are pretty high, and there's a lot of fraud, and we'd like to help get to the bottom of that. And there's no reason in Florida that people should be paying what they're paying. Absolutely no reason.
Well, I know I can relate to everything you're saying because Helene put 12 inches of water in my house, and I experienced the flood personally. And being a builder and a flipper and a multifamily guy, it's different when you're in it. I've done repairs for people that had water damage and fire damage and flood damage. But when I did it for myself, it was a little bit harder. And the insurance companies were really good. FEMA was amazing. Good. You guys, it really, in all sincerity, it was.
Yeah, I'm a FEMA fan. I think FEMA. I don't think the private industry. I'd like to see a public-private flood market, and that's really what is occurring. But I think there's always going to be a place for. I know FEMA is a hot topic, but there's always going to be a residual market. There's always going to be a place where you need the aggregation of government and the ability. There should be reinsurance and then the ability for the taxpayers to backstop it. But you want to minimize that taxpayer backstop and maximize the reinsurance area. And you can do that with catastrophe bonds and ILS and, the globalization. It's much easier to spread risk all around the globe than it ever has been before. And it's only going to get better as technology and as transportation continues to become easier and easier. There's no reason that risk can't be spread. And that's a basic tenet of insurance. A bunch of money goes into a pool and it pays out to the unfortunate. And I think, sadly, some people have forgotten about that. And then I would add, we try to mitigate those losses as well. But nice. I think a lot of people in the industry have forgotten what we do, and we're supposed to do it ethically and make a reasonable profit, my friends. And if we get back to those basics, people won't be complaining about the industry as much. One of our goals
Beautiful.
at the foundation is,
Nice.
I can understand why people think very, very poorly of the insurance industry right now, but I don't like it. I've been 43 years trying to help people, and it's embarrassing what's going on presently.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, and thanks for trying to fix the problem. That's the people that bring value to the world are like you said, history will reward them well. Hey, thanks again for everything. We do appreciate it. Before we sign off, I'd like to give the opportunity to tell your name and how to get in contact with you, and your phone number or email, or any social media.
Sure, absolutely. So we have a presence on LinkedIn. So for anything that's technology related or any attorneys, it's jblack@baseconsultingllc.com. And for anyone that's interested in the risk management side and helping the universities and the industry, it's jblack@riskeducationfund.org. It's a 501c3 charity. It was recently started, but we will get a 5-star rating from Charity Navigator. We understand what a charity is supposed to be, and John Black's not going to get rich off the charity. We're not going to have a massive staff. It's going to be, academic and industry coming together and trying to solve some problems and improve.
Nice. Beautiful. Well, thanks for everything. We do appreciate it. Let's say goodbye to the audience. And if you guys want to get in contact with Mr. Black, please let him know. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I greatly appreciate it. It's a fun podcast. It's always nice speaking with you.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.